Greetings to the excellent students in the 897 experience, DMin Project Design. This is your instructor coming to you once again, and just to welcome you to week 2. Can you believe it? Of course, we're just getting started, but I love the work that we're already doing together. As you know, week 1 of module 1 was all about the statement of the problem question. To the extent that we get that really exactly the way we want it, to that extent, it will guide the rest of your research. Certainly for your proposal, but even later on when it comes to your project design specifically, as well as the writing of your dissertation chapters. So a very, very important start in week 1, and I'm committed to partnering with you every step along the way. You remember the research question and focus was very much what we were working on last week. There were a variety of sources that are available to you. Thank you so much for the way you are helping us, even the Dean's office, when it comes to the use of Canvas. I have been providing reports from you to the folks over there, Matt Chandler, of course, and Josh Nangle, who are genius, staff over there, of course, Dr. Flynn. And every time I give them some sense of what it is we're looking at that you have reported to me, they jump in and address it, begin to work to fix it, and send out an email message to all of the faculty, letting them know what they're learning as a result. So we are, I hope you don't feel like guinea pigs in a sense, but we are very much participating in learning how to make a Canvas work. So already some of the issues that we were working on last week have been resolved. I haven't gone in yet to see whether or not the old PMIN897 files have been updated. I don't know if they can be actually, but that's going to be up to Josh to figure that out. So we were working on all of that last week and made tremendous progress. And so we worked together last week, of course, on the statement of the problem question. We had our first Zoom meeting. We discovered that we need to actually, first of all, log into our Regent Zoom account, and that's regent.zoom.us, as I recall. If it's something else, I'll be sure to remember and let you know, but you all know what it's all about. I had to do the same. And so once we do that, we find out whether or not our Regent account is up to date, is operating the way it needs to operate. Then we jump into Canvas and click the link for the meeting, and we're good to go. I love how Canvas provides me as a faculty member, which I never had before, a complete report of everything that took place, including a transcript, including a roster of people who attended, of course, for me, because it's not a required Zoom meeting. I don't necessarily do anything with that, but I know some of the other faculty are going to love it, as well as a link which I can then provide of the video recording. I mentioned to you before that I like doing that after publishing it on YouTube because it's just so much easier for you to access. And so we're learning, and it worked. I think it worked pretty good last week. Week 2 is our second piece in Module 1, the annotated bibliography, an assignment that you're familiar with because you did something very similar in PMIN700. So let's talk about that for a moment. The real issue that we did not deal with in PMIN700 is particularly what is the difference between scholarly literature and other kinds of literature that might be very, very good for us when it comes to your research ultimately. And so this is another library opportunity. In PMIN700, we were not overly picky about, okay, this resource that you're citing is more popular. It's not specifically speaking scholarly literature, etc. Well, with your final proposal, that difference needs to be very, very clear. And of course, it will be shown in the fact that some of the literature that is not scholarly per se is literature that you will need for the next section, which you didn't do anything with in 700, the biblical, theological, and historical foundation. So we are going to be very clear what it is that we're looking for once again with the assignment. We're looking for quality and we're looking for quantity. Always remember, you need to vet your sources and not just decide, well, this is probably relevant. It might be, I actually had a student in this spring 700 class who was accessing some resources from what most Christians would consider to be a cult. And I said, well, it looks like, the title looks like it might be relevant, but you need to vet your sources. And so that's always true for us. We're looking for quality and we're looking for quantity. And so this assignment asks you to do at least 6 books monographs. A monograph is an academic book aimed at one specific topic that's relevant. So it's not, I've published some books and they're all considered popular, quite frankly. They're not considered scholarly. And so there's a variety of subjects. It may be a Bible study kind of a thing. It may be a devotional kind of a thing, but there's not an academic focus on one relevant topic. So when you look for books, that's the kind of book you're looking for. A minimum of 6 dissertations and a minimum of 6, and I would have to say peer-reviewed journal articles, peer-reviewed journal articles. Now, by definition, those 3 categories constitute scholarly literature. And so if you ever have a question about it, you can go back and kind of remind yourself of these are the categories that are being called for. So you're doing 2 things. You're back in the library. It's possible that you've kind of refined your research focus a bit since 700. You've discovered some other excellent sources. You need to go now into a kind of a new list, an updated list, as well as deciding whether or not it actually constitutes scholarly literature. Some of the other literature, again, that you found useful will be valuable in the next section of your proposal, but not for the summary of the literature. In this class, for your final proposal, which was, again, not true in 700, there is that difference that needs to be very carefully made. So you will post a copy of your annotated bibliography. You can either do it by attaching a file or just copy and paste it, and then be able to discuss it. And of course, I'll jump in and participate as well. I've given you an annotated bibliography sample in our course site in Canvas. And so I'm confident that you kind of know what it is, but maybe a refresher will be helpful. And so I posted a sample for you in week 2, a very, very important exercise, because it's going to set the stage for what you're going to do with the summary of the literature for your final proposal. In terms of anticipating then the next step, which will be module 2, will be our first 3-week module. It will be the summary of the literature, and we will unpack it bit by bit and work together on that. And we will have our second Zoom meeting on May the 23rd. It's already scheduled for us in Canvas. And so that will be coming up next. But the next step toward that, of course, is the annotated bibliography. If you still need to do more work on the statement of the problem question, remember, I'm going in and looking at everything that we are doing together every day to make sure that I'm keeping in step with you. As you recall from our discussion in our first Zoom meeting, in this 897 experience, every assignment is incomplete until I mark it as complete. So they're not graded. There is not a late grade penalty, because there's not a late grade. There's not a grade of any kind. It's not that kind of a thing. It's not a traditional class. We are just processing everything you need to do, kind of taking baby steps together to have a really great final proposal at the end. So if you feel like you've still got more work to do with that week 1 assignment, jump in and continue working on it. I will be looking over your shoulder every single day. So if it looks like I need to see something that would possibly be helpful, I'll jump in and participate with you. And that will be true throughout this semester. I will never just move on. I will always assume that some of you are maybe doing some later work on your summary of the literature or whatever it might be. I will always do everything I can to keep in step with you this semester. So I love the library. I love libraries. I love books. And so this kind of an assignment is always just fun for me. And I hope that it's fun for you as well to be able to jump back into the Regent University Library and learn how to refine some of your search questions, et cetera, and look for some really great, maybe it's stuff you've already used, you're maybe wanting to look at to see if there's anything new that might be relevant, et cetera. It's just a great process, but it will set you up for success in your summary of the literature section, a major section of your final proposal. So as always, I am here just enjoying working together with you, rejoicing in the development of your process that will ultimately lead to the 899 dissertation phase. So God bless you, everybody. Don't hesitate to let me know if I can serve you this week. Just have a wonderful week.